lap. Don't be too concerned about them. They will continue to race at this stage. The British, bad news for them. They've been on the penalty loop more than once, I'm afraid, 3 times.
I think that was Adele, sadly, because Amanda shot clear, and then we saw the 3 penalty loops. It was Adele in the prone and the stand. What a pity for the British team. Love to see them go clear.
So Norway head out onto the last leg in search of defending their gold medal from Ruhpolding 12 months ago. Russia just 12.2 seconds behind, and the French, with the world #1 on the final leg, have got a margin of 29, 30, 31. It won't be much more than that, and away goes Martin Fourcade, 31 seconds. He will see that as a challenge, but perhaps not a challenge that he'll relish at this stage of the championships. The Czech Republic still on for a medal should any of the leaders make mistakes. 41 seconds behind, but they've got to fight off the Italians, and of course the Slovenians aren't far behind. The Americans have done well so far. So glory days for the Czech team aren't quite here yet. They've got another 20 minutes or so to go before we find out whether they can claim a medal on the first night of their World Championships. And Mike, with the investment and the effort that they've put in, I think they deserve something like that.
I would love to see a medal, and Moravec went past the range like lightning. I hope he hasn't gone too hard too soon. Then they go around the outside edge of the penalty loop.
Norway. So 1 kilometre of 7.5 completed, just a 6,500 metres to go for Emil Hegle Svendsen. The margin for Russia was 12.3 when they came out of the stadium. Has Malishko managed to do anything in the opening stages? No, he's gone the other way, but only by a fraction of a second. 31 seconds was the margin between Norway and France, and certainly there is movement there with Martin Fourcade already taking some 6 seconds out of the Norwegian. That's a pretty stiff pace he's setting, and now the fight for the minor placings. The Czech Republic, the Italians are all in there.
This is the day of Andrej Moravec's life. He's had pressure in the past, we've seen it, but there's going to be no pressure like today. Every time they see him on the screen, 17,000 people screaming below us.
Yeah, the first ever Biathlon World Championships to be held in the Czech Republic. They've wanted it for so long. Finally they got their wish, and it would be sensational. What a fairy tale it would be. But even if they get a top 5, Mike, you have to appreciate that is a fantastic result.
It is. At the moment, riding in 4th position, just, well, somewhat 10-12 seconds behind France. Fourcade has gone off, as I think you said. He'd go off very fast. And if anyone can survive that pace change or that aggressive style of racing, going over your comfort zone, then surely Martin Fourcade is the man who can handle it.
Now, if the wind were to pick up, and there is certainly evidence that a breeze is developing from left to right, judging by the flags just in front of our commentary boxes, that might suit the local team, the Czechs, and might force a mistake from the leading 3. But then again, they could force mistakes from each other as the pressure builds, and if it's going to come, it will come on the very final shoot of this race. Who has those nerves of steel?
Just looking at the times, Moravec has actually pulled 2 seconds off Svendsen. Of course, Martin Fourcade has pulled 9 seconds off. I think it was 9 seconds off Svendsen since the changeover. So Svendsen may be playing the clever game, just keeping it steady first time before the prone shoot.
Well, that's exactly what Terry Bow did, and look how valuable that was. Just a steady pace all the way round. He saved something for the last lap. He didn't even push the accelerator until he was at least a third of the way round that last lap. And that is how to produce the quickest times. Team number 25 already lapped maybe twice, perhaps. That's Latvia with Edgar Pixons heading back towards the stadium. 14.7. It's growing, but very slowly. On the other hand, Martin Fourcade is making great gains. 23.8. Looks strong. I think he's started to ease up a little now, Mike, as he starts to think about his prone shoot.
It looked that way, and Moravec, I think, is and behind him, Hofer from Italy. I think they are moving the fastest in this lead 5. Yeah, Moravec. Well, Moravec knows this track better than anybody. roller skiing on it in the summer months.
He's just seen Hoffer behind him. I think he won't be too concerned. Hoffer's a great skier. We've seen that over the last few years, but he's suffered a little like Clement Bauer. Hasn't had the consistency on the range. Will it come tonight? It may well do, and be a fantastic opening for the Italians. But at the moment, it's the defending champions who are first to shoot on this final leg. Svendsen works his way from lane 30 all the way up to lane 1. And he looks very, very calm. The crowd rise to their feet as their man, Andrei Moravec, 13th in the World Cup rankings, comes into the stadium. The Czechs, incidentally, were 8th last time in the World Championships in Ruhpolding. Norway, of course, were first. Have a look at the foresight for Svendsen.
It's been raised up by at least 1.5 centimetres.
The wind has certainly increased. You can see from the telltale flags. Svendsen, no mistakes at all. That's just the way to do it. Russia now. Malishko has had to push hard. He's had no choice. Quite a lot of preparation for Martin Fourcade on that first shot, but the first 3 have gone down, as you'd expect. Number 4 of France moving up into 2nd place. They certainly are. And now the battle is on for 3rd. Another miss for Russia. A chance now for the Czech Republic. And there is no team they'd rather beat than the Russians. So, one more miss from Russia, and they are on the penalty loop. And the Czech Republic go into the bronze medal position with another 5 kilometres remaining, and Russia have a 150-metre penalty to pay. But instead of fighting the Russians, the Czechs now have to concentrate on beating Italy. Lukas Hoffer has done exceptionally well in the prone position, and he's kept himself within 6 seconds of the bronze medal. But how much damage has that done to the Russian chances?
That was amazing. I think that really has knocked the Russian Malishko's confidence will be hurting like heck. The wind did change from the left, but the others got it right. Some of the teams now beginning to struggle. You can see that the flag's just flickering from the left.
Well, maybe the Czechs will be starting to think in terms of silver medals rather than bronze medals, because they're not that far off the French, but it's still Norway leading.
With the World Championships, alpine skiing is the hottest ticket around, and the Eurosport Ski Pass covers the whole of Schladming, with daily access to the outstanding runs, a VIP view of all the drama, plus the inside stories and word from the key competitors. It's the ticket that opens the gates to all areas. Ski Pass, every day on Eurosport.
The FIS Alpine Ski World Cup is brought to you by Longines, official timekeeper.
Welcome back to Nové Město. We've just had a replay as we look at the order of Svendsen's shots, and Mike, a pretty good grouping from Emil Hegle Svendsen, showing that I think he was skiing well within his limits on that first 2.5K.
I've got to say the wind was difficult for Svendsen, and if he didn't just compose himself, he took quite a bit of time to recover, and a lot of his shots were dropping down in that 5 o'clock segment of the golf ball sized target, but he was so steady, he got them. This man looks so steady, he doesn't even look like he's putting effort in. Fourcade.
Well, Martin Fourcade came out of the range 20 seconds behind. He's taken another 5 seconds off Svendsen. Now, one change in Fourcade this season, Mike, from last year, where he was winning just about every race in the last lap, is he hasn't shown that spark over the last couple of kilometres that he had last season. And I'm just concerned that he put a burst in on the first loop. He's definitely pushing now to try and catch Svendsen. If he catches Svendsen before the end of the second shoot, then how much is he going to have to give over the last 2.5K? I'm not convinced he'll outdo the great Norwegian this time.
I'm not sure. It's going to be tight. At the moment, 15 seconds. Fourcade is going to shoot slower, you'd expect, than Svendsen. And Malishko looks a man destroyed, having done that penalty loop. And the psychology of going from second to, what is he, 5th or 6th?
Well,
5th, in fact.
Look at that. There's a man who is pushing hard for his team. He is the favourite to clean up here in Nové Město. Martin Fourcade, he's He's on fire tonight, dancing his ways up the climbs, and he certainly didn't have that dynamic style in Antolz for the last of the World Cup. So I think he's back on form. He's used the 17 days off very, very well. Some teams have gone to altitude. The French, as usual, they go home for a bit and then they regrouped, I think, at the Sandrine Bay Biathlon Centre, actually, just for some, just to build team spirit. And the Norwegians are renowned for being a team of brilliant individuals. The French are renowned for being a brilliant team.
You know, that sums it up, isn't it? Over many, many years, that has been the case. Although the Norwegians, I believe, are beginning to come together more as a team. But yeah, but they've been allowed from young ages to evolve and develop their own method, not their methods, but the freedom to think and do their own training, and it works.
Well, I certainly approve of that. I think that's something that the Scandinavians have done well over the years, combining their athletic education with their academic education, and of course giving them time to do the training as well. And that means that they're all perfectly capable of training themselves. But at this level, you need a little bit more psychology. You need the boost that you get from being in a good, strong team.
I think so. That feeling of team, I'm sure it accounts for 1 or 2%. Like the French will, as we've seen, Boeuf just gave everything for the team, and now Martin Fourcade is doing the same.
15 seconds behind at the last split. Is he getting any closer? Just a bit. So he's done exactly the same as he did on the first lap. Pushed hard for the first K, then starts to ease down as he prepares for the second shoot. Another 500 meters to go to get the pulse under control for the standing shoot, the final shoot in this race. Norway so far have missed 3 targets. That's a fantastic record. The French have missed 7. Italy still the best team out there. Only 2 misses so far tonight. And if Italy remain on 2, they certainly deserve a medal. The Czech Republic in third have 5 misses so far tonight. The Russians were going well until Malishko took his turn, and he, of course, with those 4 misses on that last shoot, they now have a total of 9 with 1 penalty loop incurred. And that's why Russia find themselves almost 55 seconds off the pace of the leaders. So Svendsen, the moment of truth. If he goes 5 with 5, Mike, surely the gold medal is going back to Norway.
Well, he certainly will have seen what Tarje Bo did to shoot in, I think it was 22 seconds from stopping to starting moving again.
Now, Svendsen is going to have to work hard not to be distracted by the arrival of Martin Fourcade. It's impossible not to notice it.
The crowds there cheering for Moravec.
Now, Fourcade has got to be quick, and he needs 5 out of 5. Now the pressure is on, and the fact that Norway's last target went down, I think, distracting Martin Fourcade. So now he's going to have to make up some 16 seconds in 2.5 Ks. It can be done, but it's going to be a very, very difficult task. The silver medal, I think, is going the way of France. The big question is, will the Czech Republic, the host nation, get themselves a medal on the first night of these championships? It is down to one Andrei Moravec. Here he goes. 5 targets between himself and glory. That is how it's done.
Amazing.
Lucas Hofer throws one wide, and the crowd have gone absolutely berserk. What a fantastic story. Commiserations for the Russians. It was going so well until Malishko came in for the prone. I think we have to sympathise, Mike, because the wind certainly increased when Malishko was shooting, but others like Svendsen managed to cope.
They did. Those around Malishko coped. I think Malishko just came in too hard. What a pity for the Russian. They really expected this goal.
Yeah, we had an interview with the French head coach Mazet just before the start of the race, and he said the key to gold here is reading the changing wind conditions. Maybe the Russians got a little complacent. We had such an easy night so far that little puff of breeze that came and has now gone, catching them out.
And if you don't see it while you're looking through your sights, it can catch you out so easily. There's Fourcade. This is a steep hill. It's deceptive, very deceptive, but Fourcade has to give everything now to close this gap quickly.
The margin 13.9 when he came out of the range. We'll get another one at 1 kilometre on this last lap with 1,500 metres to go. Martin Fourcade needs a lot of support, but he can see Svendsen ahead of him, and that will certainly be a big boost. He's getting closer at the moment, but Svendsen maybe just like a coiled spring. He is waiting to explode.
But yes, I don't think there's any faster last lap man than Svendsen. Even when Fourcade's at his best, Svendsen seems to be able to take an extra 7-8 seconds out of himself on this last.
Well, I would disagree simply because of what we saw Fourcade do in Ruhpolding last year. But what I would say is I don't think there are many more competitive than Svendsen. When it comes to winning by a couple of inches, he's the man who's going to hang on. So through they go, 6 kilometres completed. They've got another 1,500 metres to go from a margin of 13.9. Has Fourcade settled for silver?
Yep. Svendsen is so too strong. That's 2 seconds he's shaved off, but you can just see the body language. Fourcade is beginning to die.
Well, the main story of the night is this man.
It's amazing.
Ondrej Moravec, who is on fire. And don't forget the rest of the Czech team. Vitkova, Sokolova, both did good work. Sokolova maybe not quite as quick as she would have liked on leg number 2. Jaroslav Sukup was very solid for the Czech Republic, but Ondrej Moravec has been quite sensational. I wonder whether he stuck his hand up and said, I will take the last leg.
But remember, 2 years ago, he was so unreliable on the shooting range, Moravec. 3 years ago, without a doubt, and he had 10.5 million Czech Republic public watching that shoot, and he coped so well. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Martin Fourcade has given up the chase, 11.8 behind when we last saw. I think that margin may well grow.
Has he given up? I don't think so.
Just as I say that, he goes again. Is he going for the last 800 metres?
Oof. They just have to stay on their feet. It's not easy. It's softer and with ice underneath now.
So Norway, who took some time to get a medal in this event in 2007, 8 and 9, they finished off the podium. They weren't far away, but I think they were certainly a team guilty of not putting their best runners into the mixed relay, trying to save them for the other events. But now that the mixed relay has grown in status, I think Mickey Grice was right, Mike. This is one, there's been so much talk about the mixed relay that all the teams now want this one as much as any other.
It's a big deal, and with a gold medal at the Olympic Games riding on this race as well next year, they're taking it so seriously. In fact, I just want to look further down. Germany in 13th position. They were one of the favourites today, the German team, and that's what can happen in this relay. You make one mistake and you're punished. It's so competitive now. Poland started so well, Patrick, down after the last shoot, down in 10th position. Belarus were 8th, they're down in 11th. And Americans from 17th ranked, they're in 7th position after the last shoot.
Yeah, it's been a very good run from the Americans. We saw them, we haven't seen Leif Nordgren. The camera's focusing on the leading teams, quite rightly. But America only 1:32 behind the lead. They've got a good fight with Slovakia. They're only some 11 seconds clear of the Slovaks at the moment. And Dmitry Malishko of Russia is some 16 seconds clear of USA. I think he'll be able to hold on to that position. But the Russians will not be happy. They came here for gold, and they're going to go home with nothing.
I'll tell you what, Ondrej Moravec is beginning to close the gap substantially on Martin Fourcade. Now, has he looked back? I don't think he has. But Svendsen into the stadium, what a great feeling that has to be.
Well, Moravec was, if we just check his position at the last checkpoint, 37, he was still 20 seconds behind the French. Norway, on the other hand, away and clear. A brilliant tactical race from them. Tora Berger, the world #1, took the first leg for them. Handed over to Sulam Dahl, who put in a very good performance. I think she was the one they were concerned about. Terje Boe was solid. Emil Hegle, Svendsen, quite sensational. France, well, they've won this one before, and they will win it again. Martin Fourcade tried his best, but he was left just too much. That 15-second margin at the start, Mike, so crucial. But what about this? The Czech Republic, Vitkova, Sokolova, Sukup, and Ondrej Moravec finishing it off. They get a medal on the very first night of their World Championships. Teams with their own transport and everything that they could possibly want. So credit to Kazakhstan. It's not easy when you don't have the budget of the Norwegians, but every krona the Norwegians spend, they spend wisely, and it produces results.
3 in a row at the World Championships in the mix, really. Will that ever be achieved again? Outstanding.
Well, what a night for